With women being such powerhouses these days, like extra help is something that unfortunately most of us need. And I would rather have my mom read her a bedtime story than anybody else.
Hi, I'm Katherine Schwarzenegger Pratt, the host of BDA Baby.
And I'm Maria Shriver, proud mom to Katherine and her siblings, and proud Mama G.
The role grandmothers play has evolved over the years, but one thing that stayed the same is how important they are to our families.
Lucky for me. It looks different, certainly, for every family, so we want to dive deep into the joys and some of the ups and downs of navigating grandmotherhood and all the lessons we can all learn from so many other grandmothers.
Pia Baroncini is the creative director behind the women's wear brand LPA and the host of the podcast Everything is the Best. She's also the proud mom of 2.5-year-old Carmela.
And she's about to make her mother, Margit, a grandmother once again when she gives birth to a baby boy this summer.
Pia and Margit, welcome. Pia, the last time you and I talked was probably about a year ago, actually almost 2 years ago, because I was pregnant with Eloise and now you're pregnant for the second time, which is so exciting. Thank you so much. Both you and your mom are joining us today to talk about motherhood, grandmotherhood, multi-generational parenting. And I'm so grateful you guys took the time. So welcome.
Thank you so much for having us. We live in a multi-generational household. So we were like, this is a perfect conversation to have.
What is that like? What is that like to live in a multi-generational?
It's my dream. My dream is to live under one roof.
It doesn't work for everyone, but it's always an adjustment in the beginning. But I think because Davide is Sicilian and has such a respect and love for family, that it's worked out well with us. And
yeah, culturally, it's very, it's super normalized where my husband is from. So I think that absolutely helps. But we love it. Like the other day, we were in the kitchen. My mom has lived in this house for 40 years. My parents were married here. We were married here. My father passed away in this house. This house has a lot of history. And now being pregnant with my second child, there are constant moments where she'll look at me and say, like, isn't this so special? Like, this is happening and we're here. We're all together. And, I think it's good for my daughter. I think it's good for her. In so many ways, it's amazing for us. Like my husband and I, every time we come home, my husband's so cute. He'll like look at me, he'll go, it's really nice coming home to a mama. The idea of her living alone somewhere after living in this house for 40 years was just like not really an option for us.
But so tell me now, you bought your childhood home from your mother.
Yes.
So that for a lot of people would be weird, Well,
yes, it's weird in a way.
I don't know.
It's made sense to do that with
a lot of people that I don't know if it's where we grew up. I grew up in Pasadena. Like I know a couple other people who have done that. Like growing up, like all of my friends' parents were equally our friends. Yeah. Like I just flew to New Orleans for my best friend's dad's 80th. Like I would have gone even if they weren't there. I would have gone for like we spend so much time with each other's parents in this town together. So a lot of that feels very normal.
But how do you work that out? So you're buying your parents' home, your mother's home. So now you own the home, but your mom stays there. So how do you work out kind of who's in charge, or how do you work out the dynamics of living? Why they're both laughing about who's in charge.
Some interesting dynamics.
two women with ideas of decorating, they're a little different, or mine's outdated and hers is too. But I love what she does. But now it's like I just say, well, it's your house, your decision. You decide if you want a pink kitchen or if you wanted this or that.
Yeah.
And so and it is letting go. But for me to be able to stay in the same home, I do the gardening that I've always done. I know the yard, I know the sprinklers, I know how to fix things. And so I still do those things. And I'm always here when they go out in the evening. And it's just, it's nice. It is nice that I could be living by myself, but being here with one little Carmela and a little Carlo coming, It's nice.
Yeah, we have so much fun. We laugh.
Oh yeah, well,
We
we have always
laugh.
been friends, so
We have such a good time
that makes
together.
a big difference.
But
We
we
have a
consider
good
her
sense of
in
humor.
every decision. Like if we're going out to dinner, we kind of like recap how the week is going to go. My husband and I have a lot of business meetings and we have a lot of social activities. But if it's just us, like we're like, what does she want to do for dinner? Like, where are we all going out to dinner? I mean, it's the three of us and our kid and our Christmas card, like we're like a little
Wow.
unit.
That's so sweet. Was there a shift in dynamic when you guys chose to move in together versus what it was like before that?
Well, it was out of, my father passed away suddenly, and we we were all home when he passed away, and then we just kind of stayed for a couple weeks, and then she had said a couple times, I think I should sell the house. I don't really necessarily want to be here by myself.
It's too big.
It's too big for one person, and my husband and I we didn't even talk through what the implications of it
No,
would
we
be
didn't. When I
by
think
any
back on, we
means.
really
There was
didn't.
no real, but it was like, we have to save the house. We have to make sure that she's not losing her home and dad at the same time.
You also said that you said to Dad too. That
My dad always
been
said
sick
that
for
he
a long time,
wanted us
and
to be here.
and then and she said to him, Dad, if something happens to you, which was very likely, don't worry about Mom. We'll move in and we'll keep the house. And I think on a soul level, that gave him a lot of reassurance. And then Davide had finally arrived from New York. He moved here permanently to get married. And so 2 weeks after Davide arrived, Chuck passed away suddenly after St. Patty's Day dinner, and he said that was the best corned beef cabbage I've ever made. So I know he had a good Last Supper. That was nice. But
Wow.
so we didn't expect him to go. That's exactly how he wanted to go. Fast, very quickly at home with family, with me. He got to go the way he wanted to. So it was really a blessing.
Every important meal has been in this dining room. Every Christmas is here. Every Thanksgiving is here, especially because we have a blended family. This is the hub for so many. So it was just this very realistic moment of like, if we don't have this central location anymore, which we've had for 40 years, a whole huge part of our life would end and a lot of traditions would stop. And that just wasn't something I think any of us were like willing to sacrifice, especially knowing that we were actively trying to have a baby and the life we wanted for her and the traditions that we wanted to upkeep for our children.
What kind of grandmother is your mother?
I mean,
I'm right here.
She's the same.
I can hear you.
One of my best friends when we were in high school, I will never forget, she looked at me and said, can you imagine that woman as the grandmother to your children? Because my mom was just the best. It's like she's always cooking, making cookies. There's always great leftovers. There's always good wine. There's always music playing. Like it's just this like amplification. I mean, we have so much fun. She'll do Carmela's hair the way she did my hair. She makes big I mean, it's just this natural, beautiful, adorable situation seeing the two of them. My mom has really great sense of humor, so sometimes she'll do her hair really funny and we'll laugh. She messes with her. They try to play jokes on me. Like it's really sweet.
That's so
We're
sweet.
very aligned in our parenting. That's what makes this work.
That's
a big thing that we've talked a lot about on this series so far is parenting styles and, also interacting with grandparents and having different parenting styles with their kids and where to step in, where to step out if you're doing things differently. Has that come up with you two at all? Or are you guys aligned on everything?
We're seamless there.
And Davide coming from old world, and I immigrated from Denmark. I was the baby. We came from Denmark, and I was raised in a Danish family. My dad was strict, a lot of respect and love. And Davide, the same thing, a lot of respect and love in his family. And so we are bound and determined. We literally are on the same page. We're not going to let her 100%. Do this. We're not going to do that. We have.
How do you see your role as the grandmother? What is your name? Do you have a specific name for your grandmotherhood?
When my niece had her children, I was Dee Dee to them. Because she couldn't say auntie. My niece couldn't say auntie, so it became Dee Dee. Then when
Uh-huh.
we got the stepkids, I married my husband, had 3 children, I had one, and then we said, well, why don't we call you Grandy, like Grandy, Grandy? And then when one day in the kitchen with Carmela, and she said, when the baby grows up, and something about Grandy, and he says, no, you're not Grandy, you're Nona. And we looked at each other and went, okay, Dee Dee, Grandy, Nona. So now we call me Grandy Nona, but Nona most of the time, because he lost his mom and he wants his
Yeah,
little
he wants his
baby
daughter to have a
Nona.
Nona,
So now, yeah, so it's fine. I don't care. It's fine. It's
So
good.
how do you see your role as Nona?
There's something comforting about. Well, I guess it's a loving backup, right? If mom and dad get too hard on her, she can always run to me. um,
Yeah.
we're thinking about building an ADU out on the other side of the property out here, and we said, won't it be cute if Carmela says, I want to go sleep with Nona, and she can go across the driveway and come and spend the night with me. So as a a cozy backup mom, I guess, is what.
Yeah, that's what it
We'll
feels
cook
like.
together. I'll teach her to sew and knit and crochet, like my
We
mother
cook
taught me.
breakfast
And
together every morning. We have all of our meals together. I mean, we're just a little
yeah,
pack.
it's worked out really well.
You don't fight at all?
Oh, no, we do. We
Yeah.
do.
What do you fight about?
No, we
We
do.
fight about stuff because I want to get rid of everything, and my mother's
Oh,
very sentimental, and that's been the only thing that's like a consistent fight, is that I want everything to be very minimal and very
yeah.
organized. And she lived in this house for so long, and I think she's used to certain drawers having certain things in them, and I'm just, my goal for her is for her to not do, like, literally just live her best life and choose to do what she wants all the time.
I've always been a nurturing person.
Yeah.
I've always been a caring person. I've always been all.
She's
I
such
would
a
have a hot water
caretaker.
bottle in the bottom of your bed. I do it still when I'm
Yeah.
cold.
She
She'll go
makes
to bed. She
sure
goes, "Oh, mom, you put a hot water bottle." I go out and start the car for her now in the morning, because if she's running behind, I'll start the car so the car's warm when she has to take the baby to school. I do all those little extra things that I love to do, that just I don't think about. It just seems natural to me.
And that was really the drive for us to live together, is I thought, like, my mom's been a caretaker. She had 2 kids, 3 stepkids, 7 grandchildren. And I just thought, like, taking that aspect of her life away by secluding her in like a condo by herself. I just thought, like, I don't like that we do that as a society at
Yeah.
all. Unless that's a choice that somebody makes, of course. If that's their dream, to be alone and to be quiet, then I understand that. But my mom, I think, also was such a caretaker of my dad, and he was such a big presence in our life that, that void would have been, I think, intense on your soul.
How has it been for Pia, for your husband? I mean, of course, culturally it makes sense because it's how he grew up and he's familiar. But how has it been when you guys are all living together? You have another baby on the way, you have your daughter. Are you guys all on the same page, or has anything come up between the three of you?
Parenting, we're all very aligned. And I have to say, like, my husband is a great partner. My mom is a great partner. And we were very specific about that when I was pregnant, down to, like, are we sleep training? What does that look like? If she cries, are we going in there? I mean, those things that can trigger those arguments that then build up and become resentments. We worked all of that out very specifically before she was born. My husband's from Sicily, so we've been many times. And I met him here. And there were many things that he was very frustrated with culturally that were very hard for me to understand. And the trip we took to get Carmela baptized, that you came along on, I watched my mom be able to contextualize my husband and understand why he doesn't like that she eats standing up in the kitchen, but he wants her to sit down and lay down a
Sit down, mama.
tablecloth. Like, there was a couple times on the trip where I just watched you, like, walk over and kiss him and say, like, I love you, because I could see there were little, like, aha moments for you. So I think, like, there are, like, things few and far between. He also really wants her to, like, he's like, she needs a nice boyfriend. Let's get a guy we have this joke whenever we see, like, a handsome man in a convertible, we're like, Papa. Papa, is that you?
Are you my dad? Are you my new dad? Are you my new dad?
So he's really cute. Like he really wants her, he as an individual sees how beautiful she is and how much value she has and how much life she has in her. And he's always like, just wants the best for her too. But I think there's the cultural moments that become sticky are very minor, and a lot of it's around food.
That's what a blessing. We, Pia, last time you and I talked, and you've been very open about this on your social channels about your fertility journey and
Mhm.
your journey into motherhood. You've always shared everything about that, which is amazing. What was that like for both of you, and for your mom to watch you and support you in that journey?
I mean, it's so special to have the warmth of your mom through something that's so sensitive. I struggled to get pregnant the first time. It was really hard. It was a really long time. And to have the extra encouragement and to take all the pressure off of my husband, those things are so hard for your partner when things get tricky. And so to have kind of like a third party here that's just encouraging of both of us, I think through that struggle was very helpful and really nice.
Why has it been important to you to be so open about your motherhood journey, getting to be a mom and continuing to be?
That's something that I struggled with. I had an idea that I was going to keep her and a lot of my motherhood choices offline just for privacy and protection and not wanting to kind of have my choices be a discussion. But it's such a clearly large part of my life, and I've been sharing my life online since I was 25 and got Instagram, and very openly, and with lots of vulnerability. And so I think in sharing my motherhood is just like a natural progression of that. And I tried to kind of keep a lot of it in at first. And then I felt like I was hiding something. It felt like inauthentic to not share my experience. And so now I find it to be just so bonding. Like, what's better than being a mom and talking to another mom about motherhood? And I think that transition has been something that's been fun for me to like kind of share with my community for sure.
What was your reaction to watching your daughter share such a personal, private journey? And what have you learned from her and about her by watching her do that?
I I feel like her sharing was again. I was very hesitant about that as well, for all the obvious reasons, because there are a lot of unkind people out there. But in the grand scheme, in the overall all view, there are so many sweet moms out there who, oh, my daughter has this, or thank you for sharing that, or that it's been very bonding. And people will say, listen to this, mom, listen to this one, listen to this one. And so there have been so many lovely responses that
People come
it's,
up to her and
oh,
who like know her from my Instagram, which I think is so cute. Like,
I'm in Whole Foods. Oh, hi, Pia's mom. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, honey, I don't remember you. Have you been to the house? I don't. Oh, you're Pia's friend. But you don't know me. I've never met. How do you know how? And then, hello, I listened to. I've seen you on Instagram. So it's very
it's
cute.
cute.
Yeah, it's cute.
What is it? What have you learned about your daughter by watching her step into motherhood?
Oh, her strength, her just natural, whether I'm here or not, to help. I can see her natural. I want to know where you got it from. She's regardless. She could not be a good mom necessarily, but she is intrinsically. Her heart is so big and pure, and that comes out in her loving her daughter. The other part about Pia being such a good mom is what she balances. She does so much. She's so busy. She has her hands in so many fires that she pulls all that together and still is present for Carmela. She's always been a firecracker, and Chuck and I have always said, "What? She's amazing." And even through motherhood, she manages
Thanks,
to
Mama.
balance it all.
You were saying that in the beginning, look, at this isn't for everyone, right? But it works for us. Why shouldn't it be for everyone? Or
Huh.
how could you kind of tell people it might be for everyone? Maybe people haven't even thought of it.
She's great.
I
That's
think
why
I'm.
this works.
I
She
think I'm pretty
doesn't.
easy.
I
If
mean,
things are tense, I just go in the other room.
yeah, she doesn't. She doesn't impose a strong opinion. sometimes
Yeah,
like
no,
a
I
day,
definitely.
if something happens with Davide, maybe like a day later, she'll say, "Hey, I think it's maybe a little bit more important that you make him feel a little bit more heard," and that she's like, "I don't want to overstep." Where I think a lot of mother-in-laws have, that funny kind
Yeah,
of,
I don't step in. I don't no. I fade
yeah.
into the background and let them, especially if there's, some little Italian heated on my head, just okay, I'll take my wine and go to my room.
I feel like we all live in, like, unfortunately we've become like a world of one a little bit, and I think people don't make a lot of sacrifices for like a greater good as often as they used to. Like, we all live in big houses, we live far away from each other, we have our space, we're doing our own thing. And I think the way that I was raised was kind of like the more the merrier. Every Christmas, it was like, who doesn't have a place to
Oh
go for
yeah, we
Christmas?
always,
Everybody's
yeah,
here,
doesn't
so
matter always
I think it
happening.
comes down to personality, of course, but it also comes down to the kind of lifestyle you want to live. And I think it's very important to have multiple opinions in one household, and to have, discussions that are difficult, and to have tension, and to learn how to work through that. Those are just life practices that build character and values. And for us, morally, it's completely inappropriate to put to have her live alone
Put me out to
somewhere. So
pasture.
yeah, to put her out on the pasture so we could have. I mean, it's just, life is uncomfortable sometimes, and so if we have to be a little bit uncomfortable to know that the last 20, 30 years of my mother's life, we were all together and have no regrets about her being alone. Or, I mean, if she was alone somewhere, that would consume me.
It seems like, though, I don't know, Pia, with your friends, if you see that, but it seems like that's becoming much more popular. A lot of my friends rely heavily on their parents that live close by, or their family members that live close by. And I grew up with a very similar vibe of inviting people over, the more the merrier, big, family things going on, managing different personalities, different opinions on things, and making sure you could be at a big family table and hear yourself speak and be able to interject, learn how to have a conversation. So I think those are all great things that I also think about when raising my kids with my husband, is just the importance of being able to. Those are things that you can't necessarily teach your kid, or they don't learn it in school. It comes from being around family, living in close proximity to see, this is why we should live together, because it like, and I also want all my siblings to live with me too. All live together, because these are things that just, you know, they're such gifts to be able to give your kids and have those experiences and lessons, that it's
My
the
dad's
best.
family all lived in the same neighborhood, everybody walking from each other in Glendale. They immigrated from Italy, and I mean, when we were growing up, it was like Aunt Teresa, Aunt Louise, like the Masacos, the Arrobio. I
Yeah,
mean, everybody lived
everybody
walking
bought my
distance
neck.
from each
Yeah,
other. And
yeah,
listen, also, Catherine, you and I are both clearly very entrepreneurial. Our schedules are not normal. And most women these days are, the breadwinner or equal partners in bringing in income. And I think from like a financial level, and where we've kind of shifted economically, and with women being such powerhouses these days, like, extra help is something that unfortunately most of us need. And I would rather have my mom read her a bedtime story than anybody else. I think that that's a really beautiful, special thing. And it's funny, like, oftentimes people will ask me, what do you think is like the most important advice if you're going to have a kid? I said, do you have any family that lives close to you? Because it's so much pressure these days for young families to work as much as they're supposed to, and have as much quality time as they're supposed to have, and then take care of their children and prioritize their children. And there's too many things. If you don't have any help, I truly don't know how you would do it all.
A lot of people in our position, myself, you, grandmothers, we're all trying to navigate when to step in, when to step out, when to go bye bye, when to go, hey, I have a suggestion, might I give you, or what is our role? As we're raising children, right? We're in charge, and then we're kind of not. And then we're kind of stepping out
yeah,
to the side. And it's something that is different for every single person, right? And how have
absolutely.
you navigated that?
Yes, I've had some sadness about that. And
Yeah.
so then I turn it around and say, well, I'm so lucky to still be here, getting up every morning. God, thank you for this morning. The first thing I say, thank you for another day. So being thankful for that, and then enjoying all the good stuff I have around me right now, which there's a ton of. Um, yeah, it's just the process of getting older and life's evolving, and
But I think that is true. I love that you said that there's some sadness involved
yeah,
because a lot of women that I've spoken to say, not in front of their kids usually, but, there is some sadness. You're the one with, that you did all of this sort of stuff. And it's a process of letting go and kind of stepping to the side. And then you
yeah,
step into this new role of being a grandmother, which is completely different. And you get to kind of mother again in a different way. So
right,
perhaps you're needed again, but you're letting go, you're stepping in. So you have to find, we talk a lot about this. I've tried to figure out where is my role.
yeah,
I don't want to I don't want to be around all the time. I want to give them their privacy. I want to spend as much time, but I want to, so I think everybody tries to figure it
Yeah,
out.
you always ask, is Chris okay if I do this? Is he okay? I'm like, he's fine with it. Just come on. And she's like, I just
yeah.
really want to give you guys some space and some time. And I'm just like, we want you to be
My
around.
mom's very similar in that way
And
too.
know that you can tell, and know that you can tell her that she can tell you the truth, right? And you can tell her, yeah, actually, we would like to be alone tonight. Great.
And now you're going to have another child. So you're
Um,
never going to be able to go out to lunch.
No, definitely
Hey,
not.
Carlos, can you stay in there a few more months past, maybe another 6 months, 9 months more? Because well, I know once he lands, it's going to be, busier again. But
Have you
it's,
talked about what your involvement is when it comes to the newborn phase? I feel like that's something that always comes up with
You know what?
families.
I will
yep,
say this. I'll never forget it. A friend of ours, after we had Carmela, like a couple months later, we were out somewhere and they said, just assumed, they said, well, it was easier for you than most people because you have your mom. And I said, there was one time in 4 months in the middle of the
and
night that we called her
yeah,
upstairs. There was only one, we handle it
yeah,
on our own. I find that to be very bonding for my husband and I to hunker down and handle that newborn stage together. And then I'm so lucky that when I come downstairs in the morning, that I have a mom here who's like, "How was last night? Are you okay? Do you need help getting breakfast?"
You'll be on Carmela duty, and
I
then
will
Pia,
work
you'll
on
be
it.
on the newborn duty.
Yeah.
Well, also I waited this amount of time specifically so she could be in school. Like
Yeah.
Carmela has a schedule. So it's not like she's home all day. Like she goes to school and gets to be, live her best life playing all day long.
How do you plan that out? You have siblings, you have a big family. You said there are other grandchildren. Is there any like, wow, Pia gets to live with mom. Why does she get to live with mom? And,
No,
they're
I
in the
don't.
main.
I think that they're very happy that someone is
Thank God we don't
taking
have to take
care.
care.
Yeah. That was zero issue.
Zero issue. Uh,
Don't have to worry about
oh,
mom.
they,
I was like, "Mom's good, right?" I'm
Yeah,
like, "Yeah, she's
yeah.
good."
And those grandkids are fully grown.
Yeah, they're all,
They're
and the
all,
grandkids don't choose to come here.
yeah. So there's nobody little anymore. I did all that babysitting for all of them.
so now you have little ones again. What's different?
Not as strong as I used to be. No.
Yeah, I mean, that
I,
is true. It's like that's
it
a
does keep.
18-year age
It
difference.
is. It is. It's just fun. It's just fun.
Yeah, I think it's such a, I mean, it's such a gift to be able to have that and also to be able to have your kids have that person that they
Yeah.
can, if it's running into the other room, if it's running across the street, it's such a gift to be able to give your kids, or if it's calling someone who lives across the country, just to have that person that's a family member that cares about you, has your back, is aligned with certain parenting styles and wants what's best for you and for your family. I
Of
mean,
course.
it's like the best thing. Of course you want
Wonderful.
your mom.
It's wonderful to see how you two have such a deep connection and love for one another, and that's the thing. Not all daughters do with their mom. So we're going on the idea that we get along first. That's why this
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
are plenty of
Yeah.
mother daughter combos. that wouldn't.
I don't have that. Yeah.
No, I feel so blessed. Obviously, my relationship with Katherine is extraordinary, and that Katherine and Chris both include me, always invite me and include me, and I think it's such a great gift because it now when
Yes.
I go to the gym, I'm like, I want to lift something so I can lift my granddaughter. I want to
Well,
be
I
able to
know
do
that's
this. Right. I'm not looking to like fix my body anymore. I'm just like, how can I lift? Then they're always like, how much is she weighing now? I'm like, I don't know, but I have to be able to
true.
lift
With her like this.
or the stroller. I need to lift the stroller or all the car seats have gotten so much heavier. I need to be strong to do all of that. So it gives me a new goal.
Well, thank you both so much for chatting today and for just talking to us about your beautiful dynamic. And congratulations, of course, on the baby number 2, Pia, coming. That's so exciting. And you guys have such a beautiful bond. So we're so grateful to have learned from you and to be able to talk about it.
I love, yeah, I reiterate everything Katherine just said. And I love the way you live together and your philosophy and the way you include your mom. Pia, is beautiful what you said. And I think everybody will be inspired by that. I don't know if they want to move in with their mom, but they'll definitely
Not
be
for
inspired.
everybody, but
No.
it's been great for us.
But thank you so much. You are so
Sure.
inspiring.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.